What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Business Breakthrough. In today's episode, I sit down with Michael as we hammer out what he needs to do to really take it to the next level. He surprised me because he reached out to me. I think it was a couple weeks ago, and he had told me that he was getting ready to plan to quit his job and that he still wanted to do his painting business on the side. And he dropped a bomb on me when we actually did our business breakthrough and said, "Hey, man, just so you know, I quit my job yesterday." And then that's what started the trajectory of our conversation. Awesome business breakthrough. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of it. Real quick, just so you know, Michael is a podcast listener, and it's really cool that somebody can listen to this podcast and be like, "Hey, I want to jump into the business breakthrough." So if you are one of those people and you want to sit down with me and do a business breakthrough, a free coaching session, no strings attached, I'd love to have you on. You could just look at the description of the podcast. There is a link to book. Thank you for listening, and it starts right now.
The big question you need to ask yourself every day is, do I own a job or do I own a business? And unfortunately, the majority of contractors out there own a job. That's right, they're a slave to their own business. But the other side of the fence is so much greener, it's so much better, and that's when you're finally fully in control of your destiny, your freedom, your time. And that's what Contractor Secrets is about. It's about taking back our time, building a business with systems, standards, values, procedures, putting yourself in the driver's seat. And that's what it's about. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Let's dive into the Contractor Secrets podcast.
What is going on, everyone? I'm here with Michael Messick, Southern Dynamic Painting, and he just dropped a bomb on me. He said he quit his job yesterday and he's going to go full time into his business. But you've been doing this for a year and a half. So have you been doing it like on the weekends or?
Right. Yeah. Basically. So I work shift work. So I would have 7-day breaks,
Okay.
in between the shift work. And that's when I would do, a majority of my work.
Right. So you would do it. That's crazy, man. So you would be doing it during the day? Like you just leave and then come back, or like how
Right.
did
So
that?
what I would have to do, so, I was working day shift and night shift. So,
Gotcha.
it was constantly changing. So when it was on days, I couldn't really do anything. On night shift, I
Right.
might go work in the morning for a little bit.
Right.
And, when I get
Okay.
off that morning, I would go straight to work pretty much.
So so let me ask you this. So you started your painting business. Did you have any painting experience before you started your business, or did you kind of just want to start a business and you felt painting would be the go-to?
No, actually, I did it while I was a teenager. I say that like 18, 19, 17 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was mainly commercial.
In a commercial space?
Yeah, like I don't know if have you ever heard of the Masters, the golf tournament?
Yeah.
Well, where that's held, the Augusta Nationals, that's actually where I painted.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's where I learned to paint at. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Very cool. So yeah, I mean, that's good experience right there. In a
Right.
really professional setting. So you now do painting for residential customers though now, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. That's where, yeah. Okay, cool. So, Southern Dynamic Painting. Now, do you have anyone that's been working alongside you? Or have you been kind of treading water, just doing it yourself?
Yeah,
What is that?
I actually have one of he's been a friend of mine. I've known him since we were kids. So he kind of like understood my schedule, understood, I was up front, we might have work this week, we might not next week. And he was okay with that, with what, he has going on too. So it kind of worked out for us. And now we've kind of like,
Like a
I
team?
teamed up, I guess you could say, and kind of knocking
What's
stuff
the
out.
now is there a partnership involved? Have you discussed ownership with him, or is he more so in a salary role eventually? Like have we set those parameters yet?
Right. So like he's actually in the long run wanting to do his own business. I feel like I've kind of motivated him to do that. And
Okay.
so I fully support that. So right now he's,
Cool.
more on the employee side of things. And I
So
think that's
maybe
the
he
way
can
it'll
be a
be.
subcontractor for you at some
Right.
point. I think that's really cool that you guys are open and want to help each other. All right, cool. So you're usually like, I like to kind of just set a direction whenever we start these, just like what's an area that you feel like you need some a push in. What's an area that you're kind of like, I don't really know how I'm going to approach that area in your business. What's that looking like for you?
Really just within myself, I need like help with like organization is one, that's a big
Okay.
deal.
Okay.
And getting in front of customers.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Well, you are in a position now, man, where you are completely free from your job
Right.
as of yesterday, which is so cool, man. Little scary, right?
Right. Oh yeah, I'm definitely nervous,
I
but
remember that, dude.
yeah.
I remember that. I quit my my safe bank job and never looked
Right.
back. So little scary, and you are entering into a time where paint's running low and a lot of chaos going on, but that doesn't mean you can't succeed. You just got to be strategic. So
Right.
let's start off with working backwards, man. I always like to work backwards because if you work backwards, you can at least get close to where you want it, and chances are that goal is going to move and change, but at least get you started. Foundationally, idea is to make sure number one, if you're going the employee route or you're going to be going the subcontractor route, have you decided what you want to build? You want loyal employees, loyal to Southern Dynamic Painting, or are you wanting to go out there and sell jobs and look for, reputable, good subcontractors to do that work for you and build those type of relationships? What have you thought about when it comes to
Uh,
those things?
definitely employee route. One for the fact that I I enjoy having more of a team, like family like, to work around. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That support system is very important. And with subcontractors, I've never done it, but I feel like you wouldn't have that personal connection with the people you work around.
You'd be right. I mean, unless you build long-standing relationships,
Right.
as if a builder would with his drywall guy who's been doing drywall in all their custom homes for 15 years. That
Yeah.
guy's probably like family. You're just starting out, so you need to really nurture those relationships. I think, starting with that, I think it's about really creating an environment that would encourage, upstanding citizens who pay their bills, who want to grow, who want to achieve their goals, creating an environment that they would want to live in.
Right.
And that's your job as a business owner. And by that, I mean, what is the legal side of your intake process look like? Have you thought about number one, getting a payroll company or having some sort of software that handles making sure taxes are paid, pay stubs are being produced? Have you thought about that? Do you have anything in place?
Well, see, as of right now, I don't have anything in place because all that's kind of new to me. I
Okay.
mean, I guess most owners when they start out kind of under the table, until they
Yeah.
get the hang of things. So like
Well,
I'm at that
here's
point.
my thing,
Mm,
and please, anything I say, I just want to make sure I give you the truth because
right,
I want you to be successful. You've been doing this for a year and a half. This should have been something you've been thinking about for a year and a half.
right,
Because reality of the situation is, I know you just got legal and licensed about 3 months ago,
yeah,
but this thing is usually something that gets postponed because we say, I don't even want to deal with that. I don't even know how that works. I'm used to
right,
getting the check, not creating the check. So
right,
as making that transition, it's all about a mindset and something as simple as doing the research to see number one, what do I need to pay? How does it need to be paid? And how can I have someone do this for me? That is a strategic business owner because chances are you're not going to go learn tax law and you're not going to go learn how
yeah,
all that stuff works. Guess what, man? You're in the best time to start a business. It's 2021. There's software out there
that's
that
right,
does this stuff for you, bro. And
right.
I'm gonna name one here, and it's called Gusto. That's
Gusto.
who, yeah, that's who I use. You definitely write it
Okay,
down, or
yeah,
I'm happy to give you. I'll give you an email later or something with some information. But
okay, yeah, for sure.
Gusto is where we want to start, and the reason why I say that is because number one, what they do is they are just a payroll administrator, okay, and
Mm,
essentially what your job is as a business owner is to find out where you are most valuable and grow your business. Now, yes, could you actually figure out how much you need to pay your employees and calculate the taxes and calculate the federal unemployment tax rate of whatever it is now and the SUI and all these things that, change. And I wouldn't even be able to tell you. Okay.
right,
I recognize I'm more valuable as a business owner selling jobs and overseeing operations rather than this minute stuff that I could just pay for. So Gusto
right.
is really cool. Here's how it works. So essentially, your friend, what's your friend's name?
His name's Connor.
Connor. Okay. So let's
Yeah.
say we go up to Connor, we have a conversation, say, look, man, I know you want to start your business, but let's work on this together. I'm going to actually make you an official employee of this company so we can at least start getting you some payroll, and you can help me figure out how to do this payroll thing. Okay. Because it sounds like he's a team player when it comes to helping you succeed. And I'm sure it'll be vice versa when it comes time for him to start his own gig. So you guys kind of figure this out together. But what happens with Gusto is, first of all, number one, you sign up with them, you make sure everything is legal. You put in your EIN number, you put in company name, you put in your company bank account. Do you have a company bank account yet?
No, that's actually something I was going to open up
that's going to be all right. That's number two. And I'll send you some information, man, and get you kick-started here. But you got to have a company bank account, because as a business, we got to separate business money and personal money. That is rudimentary. Got to make sure we get that taken care of. So essentially, we're going to get that business bank account in there. And what we're doing is just setting up our profile, letting them know where we live, and they'll calculate the tax rate, all that. The initial setup is the hardest part, and somebody will walk you through it. Okay. Second step is, okay, Connor, how many hours did you work this week? Right. And this is once you get Connor onboarded, and onboarding an employee is just as simple as put in their email address. Gusto sends them the paperwork they need to fill out, and you get it back and you approve it, and done. Now Connor's an employee of your company officially. Okay. So the first, so as easy as it is, all you do is say, hey, Connor, how many hours you work this week? And you would track that somehow. And let's say you work 40 hours. All you got to do is put in 40 hours. Okay. And when Connor's onboarded, you obviously put in how much he's getting paid per hour. It calculates that for you. So let's say he's getting $10 an hour, just for easy math, be $400. Okay. Then it's going to say, okay, actually, Michael, it's going to be $450 out of your bank account, because you've got to factor in your employer responsibility, which is matching his taxes, and then his taxes, which is another $50. So now you're getting $500 taken out of your bank account. And they facilitate paying those areas that need to be paid. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah.
They do it all for you. Okay.
So
that is just the tax portion of an employee. When you do decide to bring on employees, you're going to have what's called workers' compensation. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And you probably heard of it many times, but just to give you a refresher, if somebody gets hurt, you have insurance to cover any medical expenses and anything like that. It's one of those things that you don't want to skip. Okay. It's really expensive and it's annoying to pay, but it's one of those things that you don't skip workers' comp. It's like one of those things, man. It's not worth the risk. You look all over the interstate, you see those signs say injured, call this attorney. All those guys are doing is suing workers' comp companies. And guess what? If you don't have one, they're suing you for your personal assets. So I take that super seriously. The reason I'm bringing this up is because workers' comp and payroll go hand in hand, which means you pay a percentage of whatever Connor gets paid. Okay. So if Connor makes $400 and your workers' comp premium is 10%, okay, that means that you need to pay $40 to workers' comp. Okay. It's proportional. If Connor doesn't work that week and makes $0, you don't pay any workers' comp. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, it's proportional. So in other words, is the more he gets paid, it's a variable expense. The more he gets paid, the more you pay. As your company grows, the more employees you have, the more you're going to pay. I'm up to a lot. So good news is, number one, it's a write-off. And number two, you get peace of mind. So whatever. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because a company like Gusto actually facilitates that for you. So they know, hey, Michael's paying Connor $400. We've got to actually factor in an additional 10% and pay that to workers' comp for him. So remember we said you owe $500. Well, guess what? Now you owe $540 for that 40-hour pay week for Connor getting $10 an hour. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So with a software like Gusto, you're knocking out three things. You're knocking out employee onboarding, which is really important for a company that takes pride in their processes. Okay. So again, you think of somebody that's not your friend coming into Southern Dynamic Painting, hey man, I just want to let you know the way we do things. First thing, we're going to send you an email later. You're going to onboard with our payroll company. Doesn't that sound a little more professional than, hey man, you know what I'm saying? So we're creating that environment that you, as somebody who's worked for probably a company you just left, probably put you through something similar, right?
Right. Exactly.
We want to stay right in alignment with that, man. So we attract good people. So number one, it's taking care of the employee onboarding. Number two, it's taking care of your tax liability and making sure that your taxes are being paid properly. Okay, that's number two, taxes. And then number three, it's facilitating your workers' comp. Okay, if you choose not to go with this company,
Mm,
you got to figure all that stuff out on your own, and it's
right.
probably not, and it's probably not going to be done right.
Right.
Pricing on this thing is for you, it would be probably, I don't know, with one person, $40 a month. Okay,
Right.
so literally,
That's not bad.
absolute. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
If you were to hire a company called Paychex or ADP, it would be way more. Okay, so you don't need to do all that. So
Right.
as much as I want to talk about the fun things, you got to get this foundation built first, man. I mean, this
Oh
foundation is
yeah.
so important. So we talked
100%.
about, yeah, we talked about a payroll company. So that's number one. We need a business bank account. That's number two. What about accounting? What about bookkeeping? Have you thought about that?
Yes, I have, and honestly, obviously, you can probably give me some insight on this. Is like how to even do that. Like, so I have all my jobs, profit,
I had the
sales,
same
whatever.
question when I first started. I had the same question, like,
It's like,
what?
what
How
do
the
I
heck?
even do?
Yeah, what do you do? So I was blown away, man. My whole life I was told, keep the receipts, keep the receipts. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, they
yeah.
don't need to keep the receipts, man. That's why it's important to have a business bank account, because what your accountant's going to do is they're going to connect your business bank account with their software program, and it's actually going to
Mm,
read your transactions. So bookkeeping and accounting are two totally different things, believe it or not. So
okay.
bookkeeping is essentially the organization of expenses. So essentially what an accountant's job is to minimize your liability. Liability meaning how much you need to pay the IRS. That's why we hire accountants to do that for us. And essentially,
Right.
the IRS outlines things that are considered deductions, so pre-tax deductions. So if you make $1,000 and you spend $200 on advertising, that would be considered a marketing expense. So you don't pay tax on the $1,000; you pay tax on $800. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So really what the responsibility of a bookkeeper is they need to read all of your transactions. So here's one. I know you probably have heard of Dripjobs. That's my software. If someone's
Right.
using that, it's a deduction because it's a business expense to help them grow their business. So somebody seeing that as a bookkeeper would actually look at that expense and actually write it off. And it's the same thing. So you would have a business bank account and you would just charge everything relating to your business on that business bank account for the
Mm,
sole reason and purpose of your bookkeeper, which could also be your accountant. Sometimes they're separate. You can have a bookkeeper and you can also have an accountant. And I'll get into what an accountant does in a minute. But a bookkeeper is going to go in there and they're going to separate all those expenses into the right bucket. So if you go and buy lunch for your team, guess what?
mm.
That's a deduction for meals. If you spend money on paint, that's a deduction for materials and supplies. So that's how it works. So you don't need to save receipts. It's all logged in your online ledger for your business bank account.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because I was curious about that, and that makes that mitigates a lot of
That
work.
right.
So
It will be a lot of work, especially as you grow. So you're looking at probably spending between 80 to $150 a month on a bookkeeping service. Okay. At your
mm,
stage. Okay. Which
right.
again, remember, you're going to have to transition mentally from what I like to call the employee mindset, which I once had, to the
Mm,
business owner slash investor mindset. You got to look at time versus, value here. You got to look at what I'm spending and what I'm getting in return. Do you honestly think that you're going to do a better job bookkeeping than a professional bookkeeper?
right. No.
No, you're
Yeah.
not. And they're going to find things that you wouldn't find yourself just to save. And you're trying to save $150 a month when you're going to wind up saving thousands in what they can deduce from your owed tax. You see how that works? It's kind of like you got to think of that as like that's a necessity. You also have to
Right.
remember in our business, bro, we don't need it. We don't need a office right away.
Yeah. Right.
We don't have these expenses, so utilize these. Okay, so that's a bookkeeper, and then the next one is an accountant. So an accountant is who does your quarterly, your if you want to do semi-annually and your year-end taxes. Okay, these are the guys that actually hammer out the business tax return. Okay, so you've got to
Right.
classify your business. Do you know what you classified your business as? An LLC or an S
Yeah.
corporation?
LLC. Yeah.
You did an LLC. Okay. So you would actually bring that to an accountant and say, hey, here, I'm an LLC. Well, that means that you actually have to file a separate tax return. Okay.
Okay.
For your business. Okay. So I'm not super clear on how all that works. But again, that would be an accounting question that you would ask your accountant.
Right.
But what they're going to be doing is they're going to be putting together a tax return for your business. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's what that means. Okay. So typically, a tax return for your business is going to be like $1,000 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. That's usually what it goes for. So we cover some foundational stuff, man, like things that you should really be thinking about. A couple administration things. Do you have a business phone number or are you using your cell phone?
Yeah, I've been using my cell phone.
You got it. Can't have it, dude. Can't have it.
Yeah.
You got to switch now. You got to make the pivot now. So actually, if you go on Google Voice, so if you go to voice.google.com, I've been using
Okay.
that for years, man, and it's great. It's a you get your own. You can pick a phone number, a business line, and it does the trick. And I'm telling you this now before you start branding your company. You do not want your personal cell phone to be where people call you, because as you grow, you're going to want to separate that for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Business and home life,
Yeah. Business. Exactly. Well, it's just, you
Yep.
might have someone answering that phone eventually, right? You might have, if we think, and that's not too far away, you might have somebody you want answering the phone, right? So you got to make
Right.
sure you have a business phone number. Do you have a website?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay. So you got a website. All right. That's good. Okay. So do you have a Sherwin-Williams account, or do you have a paint vendor that you're going to that you're interested in working with?
Yeah, I use nothing but Sherwin-Williams. I have a credit line with them. So
Okay, cool. So you got a credit line. I like hearing that. All right. So, I mean, we covered a lot of the boring stuff. I
right.
kind of want to get into how to get you in front of some customers. What have you
Yeah.
been doing now to get you in front of some customers?
Okay, so this week alone, I had Home Advisor, well, Angie's List now.
Okay.
I had them for 2 days, and then I had to pause the leads because I got 4 or 5, and like right
Let's
now,
talk about that. Let's talk about that. All right. So
yeah,
you got 4 or 5 leads from them. I think, first of all, that you went out on a limb and signed up for them is good. I think it's good. You
right,
also, have you ever been in a sales position? Did you ever have a sales job before?
no,
Okay. So I'm going to teach you something about sales that I learned
okay,
in sales. And sales is all about persistence. So I want to ask you, and just honestly answer so I can help you. How many times have you called at each one of those leads?
like how many times have I called them to set up or follow
To
up?
set up an appointment. Yeah. How many times have you called
I've
those leads?
I've only had to call them one time each, and they've all responded, and I've
Great.
all gotten estimates for all of them. So
Perfect. So you're
yeah,
batting 1,000 right now on converting a new lead to what I consider an opportunity. That's really good. On a
right,
grand scale, you might not be that lucky. And this is your first set of leads.
yeah, that's 2 days worth.
Good, man. Hey, whatever you're
Yeah,
doing, you're doing it right. So you
I was
got
happy.
you got some estimates out to them. What were the outcomes of those estimates? Have you sold any?
Okay, so I haven't had the chance to yet. I met with one of them this morning, which I'm pretty sure I sold her already because she was already talking about starting on Monday, and I didn't even give her a price yet. Um, so have that one, and then another one, a fence stain. I went to them. They said they'd think about it, so I was like, okay, cool. And then I have one on Monday that I'm meeting with, and then I'm waiting on a response from one. So, which
Okay.
I haven't exactly understood. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. I haven't exactly understood. So when I am in there, some of them give me the ability to contact the customer directly, which like not directly, it's obviously through their phone number with the extension. And then I've had some that only allow me to request it from the customer, which I haven't understood that exactly yet. So like I got a request from a customer, said accept, and then it tells me that, hey, we're waiting on the customer to accept your whatever, So
So, it's constantly changing. I don't even deal with it really. So let me
mm,
talk about Dripjobs, and I'll give you an
okay,
idea why what it is and what it does. So, Angie and Home Advisor, they're just one lead source. Okay. Like you have to understand lead sources. You have to understand where you're putting your money, your
right,
ROI, what you're targeting. You said something to me about fence staining.
mm,
Is that one of the leads you got?
yes,
Okay.
So before we even go any further, I think it's really important for you to identify what type of jobs that you're going to really focus on initially.
Right.
Because when we look at a business, first of all, this is what's going to happen if you don't know any better. You're going to take on whatever you think you can take on because you're not confident where the next job's coming from. So for
Yep.
you, it's like you're in survival mode. You want to get as much jobs done as possible. That will work for a little bit, but then you're going to start running into problems with your production. Maybe Connor gets burnt out and he's tired of doing all these different types of jobs. It makes it harder to hire because you're looking for certain skills that may not be available to hire, and people who have those skills want way more money than you're willing to pay right now. So
Right.
you got to really simplify the type of jobs that you're going to be taking. And I think that it's a good start for you, especially in Georgia, to start with
Mm.
exteriors because it's pretty
Those are my
warm
favorite.
there.
Yeah, those are
Those are
my
your favorites.
favorite.
So I would first identify like, okay, what are we going to specialize in? And I tell people this all the time,
Mm.
like fence staining is its own business. You can honestly be a fence staining company and have all the fence staining business, or you could be an exterior only company and have all the exterior painting, and
Yeah,
you
that's
could
a
be an
solid point.
interior
Yeah.
painting. You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
when you call Angie, your home advisor, back, you say, hey, I just want exterior leads right now. And what
Mm.
you need to do, and the reason I say this is because every type of business that you select, when I say it like that, it kind of makes sense, requires, number one, its own estimating process. They each have their own different timeline of how jobs get done, when they can get done, the type of
Yeah.
temperature that's required for them to be done in. Okay.
Right.
So you have the estimating process, you have, external factors that could affect timelines, due dates, things like that. You have
Mm.
the marketing behind it. Okay, so as you grow, you're not just going to want to use Angie. You're not just want to use Home Advisor or whatever. You might want to get into Google, want to get into Facebook, and those ads that are on those websites require targeting specific niches like exterior painting. Okay, so
Right.
there's marketing behind it, and then the production behind it. You're going to have to teach your team how you want exteriors done to the standard of which you want them done. And if you're doing like an exterior one week and then an interior next week and then fence staining the next week, it's taking you 3 weeks to learn from your mistakes on the first exterior you did.
Right. Yeah.
So when you create a business, you've got to be thinking, how can I systemize? How can I optimize? How can I get this to the point where I've mastered this one area? So for example, I'm saying, okay, you as a business owner, you got to say, okay, I'm going to spend $1,000 on leads. Okay, exterior only. And I'm just going to give you an example. I'm going to spend $1,000 on leads. That
Right.
$1,000, based on my ability to convert those leads, should generate me, let's say, 10 appointments out of 20 leads. Okay. So you got to be like, okay, 50% of the time with these leads, I'm converting them to estimates. Okay.
Right.
Right now you're at 100%. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But here's where I'm getting at. Okay. So you've converted 10 of those to 10 or 10 of those into estimates. Now, from there, what is your closing rate? Okay. Have you learned how to accurately describe how you're going to do an exterior painting job? Have you honestly listened to what exterior painting customers ask? Have you honestly looked into the best products, and have you honestly looked into creating the best exterior experience? That's going to increase your sales ratio because you're going to come across as an expert. And I
Right.
don't think you've mastered that yet. Maybe you have.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if you're doing other things, maybe not to the standard of which you could. So your conversion rate on those estimates might be 40%. So you might convert 4 people into sales. Okay. Now your ability to upsell and increase the value of that sale will turn into a metric known as average job size. So
Mm.
out of those 4 jobs that you get, 1 per week, you might be averaging right now $4,000 per exterior. And you know what that turns into? 4, 8, 16, 20,000 in a month.
Right.
So, you're looking at, but the reason I'm saying this is because number one, it all starts with your marketing, and marketing is really a result of understanding where you're going to specialize. And until you identify that, your marketing is going to be all over the place. Like you said, yep, I got a fence staining estimate today, and then I got an exterior estimating. There's plenty of exterior jobs. There's plenty of interior jobs, and there's plenty of fence staining jobs. Start with one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we can't rely on Connor over here to be what's going to get your business to where it needs to be, because like you
Right.
said, he wants to go do his own thing. He can operate in a project management role,
but I think you need to start thinking about how you're going to hire and train. Can you paint an exterior by yourself? Do you know all aspects of
Oh
painting
yeah.
an exterior? Perfect.
Yeah. So
Good.
like Connor, I had he knew a little bit about painting himself, standard stuff. And
Right.
I've been slowly trying to train him up on the things that I know how to do. That way I don't always have to be there,
Right.
you know.
So you already have that mindset of training and teaching and implementing. And I think it would be wise for you. Again, you're
Mm,
really creating, you're in such it's like an infancy, man. Like how important an infant's like first 3 months are to how the
right.
trajectory of its life goes. Like I think for you, I really believe that it would be wise for you to write down your processes, right? Like get those on paper and create some standards of like how you want to do business, how you guys approach an exterior job. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like what you need to do as the expert on the job to ensure that if you bring in somebody who doesn't have experience, they can still be successful. Like that's how vital I believe that it is. I don't know. How do you feel about that advice there? I mean, is that something that you've kind of, that you
Yeah,
could
because I
lean toward
mean,
doing?
that would there's so much if you go to one job and bid it one way, or talk to the customer a certain way and don't have like a schedule, I guess you could say, it creates a lot of inconsistency. And
It does.
you and I've caught myself doing that sometimes too. Like I'll just get to talking to a customer and I go to the next one, and you know they might not be as talkative as the last customer. So you've got to like figure out a way, okay, how can I get this person
What
talking about what
questions
they
are they
want?
think? You're like, yeah, you got to
Yeah,
learn it to the point. Like, what questions are they thinking about? You know
right.
what I'm saying? Like that's kind of one of the things that I would consider you really but you learn that through experience. And I'm coming from you as I turned down so many interior jobs my first 6 months in business
Yeah.
because I used Home Advisor to target me the exterior estimates. So all I was doing was exterior estimates over and over and over and over again because I knew my team wasn't good enough to paint inside, dude. We just did not, we sucked,
Right.
but
And there's
like
nothing
we
wrong with
did.
that. You know what I mean?
Nothing wrong with that. I was like, I can make up for errors outside, but inside, different story. So for
Yeah.
me, it was just like learning that exterior process. So, I won't go too deep into that. I just want you to think
Mm,
about which one you like the best. You have a marketer right now who I don't think you should, be too dependent on, but for right now, it's fine. And Angie, and calling them up and say, hey, I just want exterior estimates. Now, I was telling you about Dripjobs real
yeah.
quick. You need a CRM. You need something to send estimates. Are you using anything right now to actually send estimates to your customers?
Yeah. Like I said, I've been watching some of your stuff, and started to learn about Dripjobs, but I was already part of QuickBooks,
Okay.
which QuickBooks is okay. I find it sometimes hard to navigate on certain
Yep.
things. Like just not hard, but more or less aggravating.
So
It gets the job done, but
QuickBooks is honestly an accounting program that happens to have invoicing tied to it. So
okay. Yeah.
that's great and all, but you're not even really utilizing the accounting portion of it. You're just using it to send invoices and estimates, right?
Right. Right.
Okay, so with drip jobs, it's really tailored for contractors. But one of the big things with drip jobs is we can connect drip jobs to any lead service that allows things to be connected to it. One of them is which is Angie. So, for example, as soon as that lead comes in within seconds, not even quicker than you could call,
Mm,
Dripjobs is sending out a text message and an email within seconds to them with your logo, your brand, your name, your phone number,
really?
all these things with a button inside those emails and a link inside that text message to actually have them book an estimate with you without you having to call. Okay. And that is something that I built into it because I've spent more money than anyone I know on Home Advisor. Actually, there's a couple people. But
Yeah.
still, I just realized that like it's inefficient to have to just keep calling and calling and calling when
Right.
the way everyone interacts now is through text messages, is through emails. So the cool thing about this is let's say they don't actually book the estimate. Let's say they ignore your message.
Right.
The next day it shoots out another one. Then the next day it shoots out another one. Then the next day it shoots
They're
out another one.
repetitive, and
It's
it helps.
repetitive, and it's
Yeah.
what it's doing is it's converting that lead into an appointment. Now, that doesn't mean you just get off scotch-free and you don't have to
Right.
call, but what it's
Right.
doing is it's supplementing your human effort, which if you're out in the field, here's an example. I would get a lead that came in at 10 o'clock at night. I don't
Right.
know if that's happened to you yet. You only
Yeah.
been using them for a little bit, but has it happened?
Well, okay. So this happened. This actually happened to me the other day. The way I did the estimate this morning, I got it at like 6:30 in the morning, like super early, and it was
Yeah.
like your customer wants you to contact you now. I was like, well, I guess they wouldn't have sent it for no reason. Okay, so kind of
You
stupid, but
call?
I called her at 6:45 in the morning. She's like, hello, you know, like half asleep. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so
Actually,
sorry.
yeah. That means she went and put it in last night and they timed it to come out,
Yeah,
you know. But the thing is that with the Dripjobs, you don't have to worry about that because it's shooting out that text, shooting out that email during those off times.
that's
But it
super
connects with,
convenient.
yeah, it's convenient, but that's just one aspect. It has estimating, invoicing. You can put your appointments on there. You can put your job schedule on there. You can, you know, I can't get into all of it right now. And of course, I'd love to show you a demo, but I just want to make sure that you understand that having a real estimating and invoicing software is really important. That is designed for contractors because we do so much more than what, you know, QuickBooks is. QuickBooks is designed for anyone. I could be a web design consultant and use QuickBooks. You know, it
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
really, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you need something that's tailored to contractors. That's really important. But yeah, so capitalizing on your marketing is really important. But you know, again, going back to what you said about, you know, this area about getting in front of people, I really just want to make sure that we cover this in our session here today, is
Mm,
understanding the types of leads that you're gonna encounter. You're in stage one right now. And I think stage one is really exciting because if you have the money to spend on marketing, which I'm sure you do, to
right.
spend on marketing, it's really important. By marketing, I mean paying for leads. Now, yes, you've actually went ahead and you bought leads from Angie. Okay. You've got
Mm,
to decide if that's a good fit for you. And by
right.
doing so, you're going to be trying it out and you need to be measuring your success. You said you got five, didn't you say you got 5 leads, right?
Four.
You got four
Yep.
leads. Okay. Did you actually do estimates for all four or are you waiting to do estimates?
Three, and then waiting on one.
You got three and you're waiting on one. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, out of those four, you need to see, okay, how much did I sell?
Right.
Right. So let's say out of those four, you wind up selling $5,000. And how much did I pay for those four leads, which would probably about 250 bucks. Okay.
I think that's spot on, actually. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I know that game, bro. So
Yeah.
so you essentially you netted in that regard 4750. Okay.
Mm,
That's a damn good investment, right? If you
right.
somebody said, "Hey, give me 250 bucks and I'll return you 4750," you're taking that every time. So that's the
Right.
investor mindset. But I'm going to let you know what's going to happen. You
Yeah.
might continue to utilize this service and guess what? You might get 10 leads and only book 2 estimates. And then you're thinking, "Man, I just wasted 600 bucks on 8 leads that never responded to me, you know?"
Right.
But those 2 leads, you've got to identify, hey, did I make money on those 2 leads to cover that entire expense for marketing? And again, if the answer is yes, do it again and
Right.
replicate. What you're doing is you're creating a recycler. Okay. So you're putting money into marketing and you're getting out more money. You're putting money into marketing, you're getting out more money, and you're utilizing that more money for stronger production.
Right.
Okay. I think that you're in a position now where you should look at your budget for the month. You should be spending at least $1,000 on leads because what it's going to do for you, number one, it's going to get you in front of as many people as possible. That's number one. You need to get
Right.
experience
Yeah.
full time. You know, you need to fill your day up with estimates, at least two. Right now, at your stage, you should be doing 1 to 2 a day. So, you know, so we talked about paid leads. That's Angie. Okay. And you have to understand the mindset behind that lead. So usually those people are searching and they have already assigned a budget to their job. That means they went to Angie saying, "Hey, I'm ready to have this project done. Get me a contractor." Okay. That's why those leads are more expensive because they know this. People who go there are ready to go. Right.
Right. Right.
Okay. Then you have another level of paid leads, which I consider Facebook and I consider just Google leads. Okay. Now,
Mm,
Facebook leads are great because we can put your brand right on their timeline, man. We can say, "Hey, here's Southern Dynamic Painting. My name's Michael. I'm the proud owner, and we'd love to give you a free estimate on any painting job that you want." What's great about that is they see you, man. If they actually go and move forward with getting an estimate, it's because they like you, right?
right. Yeah.
So that
Exactly.
means you have a higher chance of closing the job because of you, but also you have to understand that those people might be caught by surprise when they see that and not really know how much a paint job costs. So that could
Yeah.
offset the good of it being they like you rather than, you know, somebody who's ready to buy, already knows what they want to spend, and you're just there providing the need.
The
Same
service.
thing
Right.
with
Yeah.
same thing with Google. If they Google and your ad comes up, or they're maybe generally searching, they go to your website, they see your brand, same deal. They know they want it, they just need an estimate for it. Okay. That's
Yeah.
phase two. And then phase three is organic. Have you heard that term before? Organic marketing?
No.
okay, organic marketing, if you think of anything that's organic, what does that mean? It grows on its own, right?
Like word of mouth, I guess you could say, right?
Exactly. Word of
Yeah.
mouth. Just yard, I would say yard signs, but just you get it. Like organic
Yeah.
marketing. It's like they know Southern Dynamic Painting, they've heard of you. Or if you actually look on Google and you see people that have just reviews, that's like
Mm.
organic marketing. They didn't have to pay for that marketing. Does that make sense?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's the big three. Okay. So right now in your phase, everything you should be doing should be paying for leads, whether it's through Facebook or whether it's through Angie. I suggest diversifying. I think it would be
Mm.
wise for you later down the line to try both, but those two is where I'd start. Now, when it comes to production, man, I think you're in a position right now where you might not think so, but you should look for hiring a helper right now to help Connor. Have you thought about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually talking to him about it today because today alone, I have, after I, get off this Zoom call, I've got two more estimates to do.
Okay.
I got another one scheduled Monday, and I was talking to him. I was like, "Hey, I'm so busy. Like I've been so busy today. I haven't even had a chance to go by and check on them yet." So, I
So
told him I was
Connor's
like,
out
"Hey,
there right now working.
oh yeah, he's out there right now working."
Good.
I
So
told
what
him,
you should be doing is hiring.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what
Yeah.
I was telling him. I was like, "I'm gonna have to get you
When
someone to
it
help
comes
you."
to hiring, do you have any concerns? Like, are you, what are your thoughts about hiring? Is this the first
Um,
time you ever had to make do a hiring process? Like, is this like, or so you have
right, yeah.
experience doing
This
that?
this would be the first time, and I have the personal things that I like. I don't want anybody. I like to change the stigma of a painter. You think of a painter, you think of an alcoholic, somebody that's stumbling on the job, whatever. You know what I mean? That
Yeah, I
classic
like that.
painter. And so I really want to change the stigma of that and have some clean cut guys. Customer service is really big for me. So
Well, you'll be
that's a really big deal.
successful with that mindset. And I think that what you need to do is you need to create the environment that you want. You're going to be hard pressed right now to find someone with a lot of experience. And actually, you don't need anyone with experience, just so you know. Okay. You
Right.
don't. So don't think you need to hire anyone with experience. You have experience, and Connor clearly has experience. You
Yeah.
need a helper, somebody with no experience that wants to work. You're going to find that labor pool is massive. But
Right.
remember, okay, remember, I'm gonna make this very clear. The absolute best applicants come from two places. Okay. Not
Okay.
saying that anyone else is not a good applicant. I'm just giving you the best chance. They either work for someone else and
Yeah.
they're looking for a better opportunity, or they're moving into town. Okay. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
but if we were to get a pie chart out, I'd say 80% of those applicants are going to be working currently, wanting a better opportunity, versus 20% that are moving into your town.
Right.
Okay. So that means that we should target the 80% by when we put out an ad, we need to make sure that we are conveying that we have a better opportunity, and you on the back end better be creating a better opportunity. Don't bring somebody who's used to getting a direct deposit into your company and you don't even offer direct deposit.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, don't do, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't work for you.
Right.
Like I just wouldn't. If you're going to just write me a check at the end of the week and I have no log of my hours, I have no log of my pay stubs. Remember, we talked about it. Gusto, they do that for you. Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right. Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying, is that when it comes to hiring, that's what you're looking for. I have a hiring course, and I'm actually happy to give it to you for free. So I will
Okay.
actually send you a link and you can get going with
That'd
that.
be
So we
awesome.
covered a lot today, man. I know it was a little
Oh yeah.
overwhelming. Do you have any questions on anything?
I mean, you've hit some really solid points, and not only from us talking, but from you talking to others, I learn a lot too. You know what I mean?
Cool. Yeah.
There's a lot of advice if you go through all the business breakthroughs, and collect all that advice and apply it to yourself. It helps a lot, really. Because at least I haven't found it. There's nothing else out there like this. There might be a guy on YouTube like saying, "Oh, this is what you have to do to be successful as a painter," or something like that. You know what I mean? But there's nothing where you're actually talking with people, taking different scenarios, and you can apply that to yourself. So I think that's really great. So kudos to you
Yeah.
for that.
Thank you,
Um,
man. Thank you. Yeah, that was the goal, man, is a collective growth. But sometimes it's actually more effective, like when someone's actually talking to you
right.
about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
100%.
you've
Yeah.
you've definitely heard my advice before, but I bet it's a little bit different when it's coming directly at you, because
Right.
that's just the way it is. So anyone out there, jump on with me for a business breakthrough.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd love to
That's
chat
right.
with you. So, but yeah, man, you have a good head on your shoulders. You have a great mission. I just can't emphasize it enough. Make sure that foundation's strong, because that's what your company's going to be built off of. Something as simple as getting a business phone number,
Yeah.
getting a payroll company, these things. If you're preparing, I like this term, this little phrase, I use it a lot. Dig your well before you're thirsty. Don't dig it when you're thirsty. You're not gonna have
Right.
the energy. You're not gonna have the energy to dig it when you're thirsty, and you won't. That's where a lot of people find themselves right now. Maybe even listening to this, is that they're so deep into their processes and they're so comfortable with things. Change is so hard, and it's like
Oh
you've
yeah.
got to have the. I don't even know if this is the right context for that. I've been waiting to use this word, the wherewithal to go.
Wherewithal.
I
I like
heard
that. Yeah.
I heard The Rock use it in an
Yeah.
interview. Anyway, you got to have the that mindset of like, I'm gonna get this ready now for my house that I'm building in the future. And I think you have that. You just gotta make the investments. So
Yeah. That's
we'll
where it all
close on
starts, is
that,
that
man. And
foundation.
it does. We'll close on that. And, I'd love to chat with you again. If you're ever interested, you hit another level in your business and you want to get deeper into sales or marketing. I think
Oh yeah,
there's so
100%.
much there, but you're coming out the womb right now, dude. So I don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
hit you hard. Go out there and make a bunch of mistakes, but I think get the hiring done, get some experience doing these estimates and closing these jobs. And, next time we talk, I think you'll be in a very, very good position. You'll be thanking yourself for quitting that job. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, I think so too, and I hope so. So I'm excited, man.
All right, man. Well, thank you. I'm going to close this out here, and appreciate you jumping on.
All right, yes sir.
Hey, I just want to take a second to thank you for joining me here on the Contractor Secrets podcast. I'm just going to take this opportunity to let you know that my passion is coaching people, helping people. I've changed my Instagram name to @contractorcoach. And I did that because that is my passion. I want to help you. So please reach out to me. If you have an issue going on in your business, send me an email, find me on Instagram, message me, and let's do a breakthrough session. I want to work through your problems in your business to help you get to that next level. And one thing that I always say is this, the difference between those that get over the humps and the hurdles in business is just a change in perspective. And that's what I plan to offer you. So get with me, message me, allow me to help you take your business to the next level.